This inner wisdom, I call wisdom of oneness, because we say woo-woo, like it's woo. It's actually scientifically shown. We are connected. We have over 40,000 neurites in our heart that connect to this field of intelligence called heart intelligence. And it is always, always for our highest good. This bodily, intuitive, visceral connection, it is not to be overlooked. And I really think of it as our superpower and frankly, the answer for most of us, especially in times that can feel very unsteady, ungrounding, challenging. It can help bring a sense of groundedness and answers and reliability and comfort and guidance.
Hello there. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Rush with Kate Eckman. This is an extra special episode. I say that, I feel like I say that a lot, but I'm smiling so bright because my next guest I actually met because she did something that we're going to talk about today. She followed the signs. She followed her intuition. She listened to that voice that said, you should reach out to that woman. She happened to read an article that I wrote about body image and actually being publicly body shamed on Mind Body Green. And she took it upon herself to reach out to me on social media, telling me how much she enjoyed and appreciated the article. And it meant so much to me. She wrote the kindest note. And that was the start of a beautiful, I guess we've been friends for about a decade now. And so this is your sign to reach out to someone that you know and tell them a way that they've inspired you, even if that person is a stranger. In fact, I invite and challenge you to reach out to somebody that you don't know who has written something or performed or done anything that has positively changed your life. And you never got the chance to properly thank them. So let's do that before people pass away or we say nice things about them at their funeral. And on a deeper level, this episode today, we're really going to dive into following the signs and listening to our intuition. What even is our intuition? And when we listen to spirit, what is that? How do we know when it's spirit or not just another voice? And so we've got a leading expert on that here with us today, my dear friend, Julie Reisler. She's the author and the host of the podcast, The U.S. You. She's written a lot of books. She's a professor at Georgetown University. She's a certified master intuitive life coach. She does all the things. And most importantly, she is a phenomenal human. And I promise you, her energy, her presence will calm you, will help you connect to your spirit, help you connect to yourself on a deeper level. So without further ado, Julie Reisler, thank you so much for being here today on Rush.
Oh my gosh. First of all, it's such an honor. This is so much fun. What a gift. And I love how you started this. It's so true. I was thinking about that. The way that we connected is completely because, and I'll say it took courage, right? It took courage to listen, to connect, to hear my intuition that said, you've got to reach out to that bad chick. You've got to reach out to her. That article changed my life. And I'm so excited to talk to you because this is such an important topic for many, many reasons. And I just love you. I love what you're doing. And I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're so busy and I just appreciate who you are in the world. And you've helped me so much, just kind of really not to call myself out, but calm the F down and really tap into my own innate wisdom and get out of the monkey brain and all of those thoughts that tell us you're not good enough. Why'd you say that dumb thing? You can't do this. Who are you to have this dream? That a lot of us experience. And it's just the caca of the world that's constantly bombarding us. And so you've really been able to tap into that peace and that calmness and that inner wisdom that's really helped you create. You are just, every time I talk to you, you're creating 100 things. You're doing so many courses. You even have this intuition school that you've created that I want to talk about later. But for people wherever they are on their intuition journey, how do we first learn to tap in deeper to that voice that just wants us to win?
I love that question. I think it's really important to kind of reverse engineer and just what you said. And that is this inner wisdom that, first of all, is connected to the field around us of infinite possibilities and intelligence. And this can sound very woo, which, by the way, I call wisdom of oneness, because we say woo-woo, like it's woo. It's actually, this is scientifically shown. We are connected. We have over 40,000 neurites in our heart that connect to this field of intelligence called heart intelligence. And it is always, always for our highest good. It is always for our best. So that is, I think you saying that is so important to understand. This is partially why I'm so passionate about this, because when you learn how to tap in and listen to it, you will not feel as doubtful. You will not be as concerned. You will feel more empowered and confident because you'll have tools to learn how to find the answers that really, truly are waiting for each of us. So intuition, it is information that we each, I think of it as like batteries included, Kate, like we're all born with this knowledge. The easiest way to explain this is if you're listening, you've had a gut feeling, you've had a gut sense, you've had a knowing, you've had a non-logical understanding of something. Maybe your inner wisdom said to take a right instead of a left, and that had you avoid a whole traffic jam or accident. We could go on and on. There are so many different examples, but this bodily, intuitive, visceral connection, it is not to be overlooked. And I really think of it as our superpower and frankly, the answer for most of us, especially in times that can feel very unsteady, ungrounding, challenging. It can help bring a sense of groundedness and answers and reliability and comfort and guidance. And I don't know about you, but who the heck doesn't want guidance? Like I always want guidance. That's why when we talk, we're like, all right, give me some guidance. And we can do that. However, we also have that within.
A few things came up as you were talking, but I want to get to the one because it is a superpower of yours and something that I think we can all work on. You are so good at offering guidance, coaching, intuition, friendship, everything, whether it's a personal or professional connection. You really do operate from a higher level of consciousness and our higher selves, because you could be like, that person sucks and you should stay away from them, but you would deliver it more of, Kate, I just don't think that you're in alignment anymore. And I would offer you to maybe distance yourself in a loving way. You always come from that place, which is really impressive. It speaks so much to your character. But sometimes, so I actually will just start there. How are you able to, because I know you've been through some challenging things in your life and your life has not been perfect, but you're still able to operate from that vibration of kindness and love rather than screw that person. They're a jerk. I'm not going to, how are you able to do that?
Yeah, well, how much time do we have here? Let me say, so of course, not perfect with that at all. And what I would say, and anybody that's here, look, like attracts like. So anybody that's listening or tuning in, I know you want to be living a life that you feel is peaceful and joyful and loving and, feeling connected. And I think all of us truly, or most people, human beings want to feel loved and connected and good in your life. And, one of the principles that I have learned is our inner energy is going to dictate our outer world. My inner beliefs, the way that I am talking to myself and the way that I'm talking about others is going to dictate what's happening around me. It's a mirror, the world is a mirror. It's going to mirror how you're being. So I have learned through a lot of life experience. Sometimes I feel like I'm 800 and sometimes I feel like I'm a baby in this life school that, it's intentional. It's choice. I personally work and create an environment, just like brushing your teeth. There's hygiene, and I think of it as spiritual or consciousness hygiene, and it's something we don't talk a lot about. But hygiene includes, what am I digesting in terms of content and media and energy, and what am I reading and viewing and spewing? And then what am I, how am I nourishing myself? Yes, with food, with sleep, with meditation, all those things. And I have learned, and actually through probably the gift of having a condition that is healing and, has been an autoimmune condition, I've really learned the importance of self-care. And I don't love that word. It's used a lot, but like truly that, radical self-love and care and kindness when, I didn't always feel that way. And I have learned along the way, did a lot of life where I was not tuning in or paying attention to my intuition. In fact, I shoved it down with ice cream, with bags of chips and cookies and anything you can find in a fridge or a bakery. And it just shoved down my intuition because I didn't know how to handle what I was receiving. I didn't know how to handle emotions other than joy. And that has been a big lesson, is learning how to feel feelings, how to be grounded, not to be completely out of reality, but also in doing that, to take care of myself, to ground, to manage my energy, to have a spiritual or consciousness practice so that I can be in the world, right? We want to be, I think, of the world or in the world, but not of the world, right? So being able to do that means being intentional, and we can totally talk more about it, but I curate, the way that I start my day and I end my day very specifically, because like anyone that's here, I really want to do some good on the planet. I really want to be somebody who adds light and love. And, you can say that, but really value and impact. And to do that, that means I got to look at myself every day. And there's some days that are not pretty, but I'm committed. Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is that it really is a practice. And I think the people who make it look easy, like you, I'm like, oh, Julie just naturally runs that way. Like I run warm, she runs cold. Like I want to tell people what time it is, and you want to, oh, it's okay, Kate. And I'm like that sometimes, but I also have that sassy side of me. And I'm sure you probably had that side at one point too. So for you, it really is that practice that you've chosen.
Yes. Can I add something? Because as you're talking, so I love you and I love talking to you, because I'm like, ooh, the other thing I want to say, and I know we've both, I've been doing a lot of work in different spiritual texts. A Course in Miracles is one of my favorites. And, or anything that's around, I think some of these higher consciousness texts in all different religions and faiths and mysticism, it comes down to this very, very simple idea that we are all connected. It doesn't look that way because we look, I'm myself, you're you, we look individuated, and we are all at the deepest level one. We're all connected. So one of the most intense practices is looking at somebody who's doing something crazy in the world and saying, where is that happening for me, in me? Where can I identify, and or how can I go to some sort of compassion? Because we know hurting people hurt others. If you are hurting, your instinct, this is ego 101, is going to lash out. So what do I know? A lot of hurting people are hurting others, and a lot of egos are having a celebration out there. I choose as often as possible not to live in, ego. A great acronym is edging greatness out. I choose not to, as often as possible, live in that egoic structure. We all have an ego. It's important. It keeps us safe, protected. But there's a great quote. I think it was by Einstein, and it was basically, don't let your ego run the show. Let your heart go, and the ego will follow. And so that is by design, because I can tell you, you can look around. You don't have to look far. You do not have to look far to see hurting people hurting others. And there's this idea of feeding the field. Our energy feeds the greater field of consciousness. We really do. We each have a huge impact, even if you don't think you do. Your thoughts, your way of being. And I just think about, like, what am I feeding? How am I feeding the field? And I'm sorry, I don't want to feed it garbage. I don't eat garbage. I don't like garbage. I don't like taking out the garbage.
Yeah.
So it's important. It matters.
Yeah, I think, in the past, you think, well, if that person would just stop being a jerk, or if that person could treat me better, or if that person would work on their shit, then we could have the relationship. And I think I've experienced so much freedom recently, and having to take that time, almost feeling like a hermit and self-isolating at times, and really, really doing the deep inner work. Something that you said that I wrote down so I didn't forget to ask you. I think a lot of times people are more intuitive than they even give themselves credit for, because they think, I can't hear that voice, or what are you talking about? Because I think our intuition often says things that maybe we don't want to hear, or we're not ready to hear. For instance, girl, you got to leave this job. You need to leave today. Today needs to be your last day. And your ego mind says, well, I need the money, or I can't do that, or what will people think? Or I'll upset my spouse and my family won't be able to eat. Or you hear, it's time to leave this relationship. It's run its course. It is negatively impacting you. You can't go another day like this. And you know it. And you fight back. And then the voice gets louder. You know you have to leave. And then you think, oh gosh, that means I have to make a lot of tough decisions. I have to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations. I may let people down. People may not like me. So can you talk to us a little bit about, okay, we're getting practice at hearing the voice. We're getting even the full body chills when we hear the advice and what we need to do. And yet there's so much fear to take those steps because of things I just mentioned.
Yeah. As you were saying those things, Kate, I was like, check. Those have all happened in my life majorly, and I'll just share really, really quick. So people can have a little like, okay, she knows what she's dealt with this. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had 2 kids under the age of 2. It was a really time for my intuition to decide to wake me up. But that is what happened. Literally thought I was dying of a heart attack. I had a panic attack. I'd never had that before. I had been pushing down these nudges. Like I was married to a good person. There was nothing terribly wrong. And I'm saying this because there might be others that, it doesn't have to be, thankfully, it wasn't an abusive situation, but it was really not the right place for me, especially energetically and even just ideologically in how we lived our life. And there's a greater aspect to ourselves. There's information that is beyond what we can understand in our logical mind. And I believe, my higher self, that wisdom that is there can see the bigger picture and woke me up. And I heard, you are not okay here. You need to leave. And I was like, what the F? Like, you got to be kidding. I've got a baby, like 2 babies in the other room. I was sleep deprived, but I can tell you, I knew this was something not to F with and not to, at this point, I could tell because I thought I was dying. And then I realized it's a message. And I'll tell you, this is what I believe. We get these messages. You may hear it, you may see it, you may feel it, you may get goosebumps. There's a lot of different ways that we take in this information. I knew because it was the hardest thing I had ever decided to do. I'm not a quitter. I don't end things unless it's like you think you're dying. And I needed to get woken up. But I did start to get a premonition if I did not leave that I would not be alive. And I saw how it was really frightening. And I do believe, look, what happens is we often get a sense, and then it's very understandable. Our human emotions around fear come in because I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to handle that. That's where I think actually having people like, coaches or therapists or some support, get support. But that led to one of the biggest decisions in my life was to end that marriage. It was not easy to do. And then what happened was, once you start kind of living in what's true and what's in soul alignment, the next thing I knew, I went back to get my master's degree. And then I'm working in a job that was good. It was fine, but it wasn't like, aligned in the way.
Yeah.
It wasn't fulfilling. Right. It looked good. Good bonuses. I had a salary. My gosh, I was a single mom at the time. I mean, people thought I was nuts, but my intuition said it's time to leave. It's time to start your own thing. I had no entrepreneurial experience yet, or so I thought. And I did. I trusted it because I saw what had happened with my marriage. And then it happened again with my health. I was, passed out and had EMT around me in the hospital. And my intuition said that is actually connected to your throat chakra. You're not speaking up. You didn't speak your truth for years and years. And I'm in the process of literally healing a thyroid condition, which is healing, but 12 years later, and I can tell you something, I had a lot of little whispers and I didn't listen until I finally did. And so, today I always say everything I do, I try to do 100% powered by intuition, very, very different life. You wouldn't even have recognized me, 15 years ago. It's just, and it can be challenging because we can hear that whisper. I have something that's coming through. It's come through my business and I'm like, oh, I'm like changing gears and shifting again, but it's the right thing because it feels right. It's scary, but we build that muscle. The more you listen and the more you follow it. Look, the divine has our best in interest. And I do believe that. It's just not always easy. I'm getting it again with some other things in my life, which we'll do in another conversation. But I know that I don't want to play around. Like it can see, it's got like 360-degree vision. And we have probably 2%, 2-degree vision. So I think getting over the fear, that's understandable. just, and we can talk about how do you learn to trust it, because I've done this now and worked with many people and myself. There are ways you can actually learn to trust your intuition, follow the signs, track your evidence. There's a lot of ways so that you can feel more confident, but it's no joke. I mean, I think about this daily.
Well, I think that there's someone listening right now, probably a lot more than one person who's listening that's thinking, okay, maybe I do listen to, and I am practiced at listening to my intuition. I'm hearing it loud and clear. But there's this notion that because our intuition is co-creating as thought partners with the universe, it's so powerful. And we all know to follow that intuition and trust it. But then what you're saying is, and I've experienced this so many times, you're like, all right, I'm listening, I'm trusting. And then you hear it and I'm like, all right, and I'm going to be courageous enough to take action on this. I'm serious about my goals. I'm serious about my health and my well-being. And then you take the action and the hits the fan and things are blowing up. And it's like, I just lost so many friends. The marriage is over. What am I going to do for work or money? I feel like I'm scared. This person doesn't like me anymore. I don't even resonate or feel in alignment with most people or things in my life. I feel like I'm describing what I've recently gone through. And it can be scary. It can be lonely. It can be isolating, but it's so liberating. And then just trusting that on the other side, it's like training for the Olympics. You don't just show up with your fit body and meet some other athletes and have fun and win medals. There's so much behind the scenes. We all know this, how much training that these athletes go through for that 30-second race or that 1-minute event or 5 seconds or whatever it is. And so I think you're on the right track too, and that you're really leaning into listening to and trusting your intuition when things may fall apart a little bit and it's scary. But
Yes.
knowing that on the other side of this is your authenticity, is your freedom, is your abundance, is that incredible relationship with yourself and others. And so you have to go to it. And I wish, or if you want to add anything, because I want to give people a hug because it is so challenging and we've both been there, but there is so much goodness on the other side.
There's so much goodness. And I love what you're saying. Think of it like this. I truly believe it's so simple, but nature is our best teacher. The natural laws really are our best teacher. Look at anything that is evolving or changing. And I mean, obviously it is so overused, but it's true. If you look at with the chrysalis, with the butterfly, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't think going in a cocoon and becoming primordial like soup is fun, but to become what's next, you have to, it's part of any process. It is not fun. I mean, I can tell you, I just listed a few things. Like this has happened over and over again. And, this is the thing. Like you said, there's a training to it. It's like any relationship. The more that you start to develop a relationship with this aspect of yourself, this higher guidance, first of all, the more you're going to be getting signs and guidance and wisdom. And the more it's going to become like now I'm like, okay, like I can't even miss it. It's so obvious. Like I would literally yesterday on the, driving home from a friend who had passed away a couple weeks ago and just was asking for guidance, right? And it's like, that's the other thing. We're just all lucky to be here and remembering, I know you've dealt with a lot of loss also, and that's actually another component is so many of our friends and family and loved ones and souls that have passed on can connect with us and help. You and I know we have your friend who's here with us, and I can feel, for example, I have my grandfather I was named after, born right around his birth date. Like I ask for his guidance, and we have established signs now. I see them all the time, and I'm like, there is my grandfather. My grandfather was an incredible human being, and I can just feel that. So there's a lot of gold to be excavated here and to be found. It does take something. It takes courage. It takes bravery. It is not easy. However, I can tell you, putting your head on the pillow at night and knowing that you are living a life that feels true, that feels good in your soul, that feels aligned. I mean, there's nothing that compares to that. And then, of course, I will say, I just think it is powerful for our health. I really feel like there is an anti-aging aspect. I really do. I know this is like the new anti-aging campaign is trusting your intuition. Yeah. But when I see pictures, I got remarried. I was showing my husband when I got married because my anniversary date for that first marriage is coming up would have been 25 years ago. And he's like, holy he's like, you look younger now. And
Wow.
I was 23
I just
when
got the
we,
chills. Ooh. Well, you're speaking to another anti-aging, or I'll just call it timeless. I don't even like anti-aging,
I don't
just
either.
timeless,
Yes.
timeless
Yeah.
beauty, timeless health, ageless wonder is telling the truth. And that was a huge premise for this show, is wellness through truth and storytelling, and the power of telling the truth, and said with kindness, and said in a safe environment at first before you're ready to announce it to the world. But we first have to tell ourselves the truth that I'm
Yeah.
not happy here. This isn't working. I don't feel good. And then being willing to listen to the answers, intuition, spirit, whatever you believe in. And you're
Yeah.
going to get a lot of guidance when you're open and you're willing and you're practice at listening, and then being courageous enough to take action on that. And it might be scary. And there's still times where I'll hear the guidance and think, and I'll do the, yeah, but in the past that didn't work, or what, all those things come up, and you just have to sit with that too. And I'll even talk about intuition and hearing spirit. I will hear, do you trust me? And I wrote about in my book being hearing that voice. Sometimes, it's always a loving voice, but I've gotten yelled at a few times because I wasn't listening. And I'll never forget being in my living room in my apartment in New Jersey years ago and hearing, it is no longer okay to just trust part of the time. You have to have full-time faith. It's easy to have faith when everything's working out, or you take the courageous action step and it works out. Sometimes though, even when it seems like an opportunity I had for a job and it ended up just blowing up in my face, as you know, and it was very painful and biggest career disappointment of my life. But then I looked at it as also the biggest gift of my life, because I chose to use it as a catalyst for great transformation. And so if you're in that place, just know there is a choice there, like you said. But I think sometimes it's so hard to have that full-time faith because you've acted on faith in the past and something fell apart. But what do you say to that when something falls apart, or you have you have this incredible opportunity, you're so excited, and the person turns out to be a narcissist, the company turns out to not be what it says it is, and you have to resign. You've been divorced, so that's a something that didn't work out. What do you say to people who may just be like, screw this, or they want to throw in the towel, or they've lost faith or trust in themselves and the
Yeah.
universe?
Yeah, it's beautiful what you're saying. It's funny. I was just talking about this yesterday at this circle celebration of life ceremony. And first of all, I want to go back a minute, because it's you're talking about full-time faith. You actually mentioned that in that article, and that that was part of what I was like, who is this unicorn? I relate. I've the body shaming, like, gosh, I was like, who is this? My intuition was so strong, and I had never done this before. So I just want to say, like, I've never written to someone who's written an article. I've never been that moved ever. Seriously. And I've read a lot and something said right away, you got to reach out to her. And I heard that voice and I was like, well, and this was the beginning of my own business. I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to just do it. And, honestly, and I think I told you this later, as we all have intuition, we can all grow and develop it. So, today to hear and see and all of those are active for me. And at that time, I remember I've always gotten like a future vision of people's higher self, but I got this vision of us, not unsimilar to what we're doing today. I saw it and I'm like, this is weird. And we don't even know each other. And I think I even said to you, I was like, Kate, we're going to be friends. Like, I know this is weird because we just met. I remember where I was actually parked because I was talking to you, but I trusted it. And it can be vulnerable, right? Like I'm reaching out to someone I don't know. So sometimes intuition is going to guide us to something like that, a new friend, a new soul sister on the path, a new partner, and sometimes it's part of our growth and learning. And here's what I think can be very helpful to answer your question. Kind of like, you think of a tapestry, and if you look at the backside, when I was traveling in the Near East, I remember seeing they had a lot of tapestries, and you turn it around and there's just a lot of knots. It looks kind of like, what are you doing? What is that? And then you turn it over and it's like, holy, you just did this like gorgeous landscape, but it doesn't look like that on the back. It looks really bad. And we as human beings, just most of us at least, do not have the ability, the perception to see the front side of the whole tapestry. We can't. We can see the knots. We might see a little bit, maybe like a puzzle. You're like, oh, there's a rainbow, but where the hell's the rest of it? So I think understanding there's a lack of ability to see all of what's happening at a higher level. And, what's helped me, this might be like leaning into coaching a little bit, but is reframing or looking at it from, well, if you think of it like we're here and it's life school, right? It's school. It's a fun, hopefully a fun life school. Like we're learning, we're growing, everything. Think about it. You said this, your most challenging work experience is probably one of your biggest life lessons and gifts ever. I feel the same way. I still wish these last 12 years, it's been challenging dealing with a thyroid condition for a lot of reasons. But I can tell you, it has literally opened up my intuition and my ability to understand healing at a whole new, I don't know that I could have gotten this experience and this wisdom any other way. So for wisdom seekers, and anyone I'm sure that's here is a wisdom seeker, someone who wants to be wise and connected and be someone that's adding value to the planet, it comes often through challenges. We're in a society, in a world, in a planet that has polarities. So you can't just always have all the good things and all the fun times. Although I would love to live in that planet. You tell me where that is.
Barbie land.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, send me to Barbie. Right. I would prefer that, but I have learned, I'm sure. And so it's the same thing with when your intuition is saying this relationship has run its course. Leave this job. It is not where you're meant to be. Being in a really challenging relationship, or even sometimes friends, we can outgrow friends who, I know you've had this, I've had this for sure, especially getting divorced. There's a lot of people, lovely people, we vibrate. We're made of energy. We're all energy, made of energy. And we're going to be, not to get all into that, but it's true. What we're thinking, how we're being, it's going to shift as we expand and grow. And sometimes it's run its course and it's not easy. I would imagine anyone listening, like empathic, highly sensitive, you don't want to hurt people, you prefer not to be hurt yourself. It's hard to learn though, sometimes without those experiences, but we don't want to avoid and pretend it's not happening either. It's a rough balance, right? Like it's a delicate balance to be in it, to feel the things, and then also to choose who you're going to be. That's a real delicate balance because you could get into, negative mindset and go that way, or you could get it like Pollyanna. So we want to find that middle, but that's where I think intuition will truly guide you. It does that for me. It tells me, Julie, rest, stop. My brain is like, overachieve, keep doing. And my intuition's like, go take a walk, go get your nails done, go make a call, go chill out, watch a Netflix show, like go watch something fun. Don't even not even educational. I'm like, okay, Gaia, I'm going to learn about sacred geometry. And my intuition's like, no, freaking watch about like food that's made over in Morocco or about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, like something fun.
Yeah.
And whatever.
I think our intuition is the kinder voice often. It will raise its voice when you're not listening, but I think and I want to ask you what the signs are for you, but our intuition is, you're right, time to take a nap. Or I'll hear often, that's enough, you're done for today as it relates to work. But me, the overachiever, the type A, I could be a bit harsh. No, you haven't done enough. You need to do more. And I can tell in my healing and how much healthier I've gotten because I do listen to the intuition, and that harsh voice doesn't come in much. And when it does, I can quickly be like, okay, thanks for sharing. Go sit back down, but yeah, the intuition is that's enough for today. And it's go take the walk because you said, and I'm going to hold you to it, that you are prioritizing your health and well-being. So I think you can think of it as the kindest, nicest parent. I look at it as the part of me now as an adult who is learning to reparent or really love the 7-year-old version of Kate, little Kate, who maybe didn't get all her needs met. So I'm going to meet her needs now. What are some of the signs that we can look for to let us know that we are on the right path, or even that we're on the wrong path, if you will?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a good question. I think the first thing, even before that, to share with everyone is what you want to do is establish a bit of a tracking kind of evidence with yourself, kind of data. You want to track, you want to get some data on yourself. I can say this, but what's really going to make a difference is if you're listening and you're like, yeah, I don't even know. Like, where do I begin? Okay, this is where you begin. This is for you. This is what you do. You're going to just make a list. You're going to look at as many things as you can remember. It's okay if it's a couple. It doesn't matter. We just need a few. When did you have a sense? It was a gut feeling. You got chills. You got some sort of visual or audio or something that said, often very calmly quiet. It's often that voice, or it might have been more of a wake you up in the middle of the night, like what happened with me, or telling you like, leave this job or whatever it is. Look and see, where did you get that kind of intuitive, command or guidance or information? And when did you listen to it? And when did you not? And what happened? So for example, I had a lot of intuitive nudges, about my first husband that I was not comfortable or knew how to handle. They freaked me out. So I pushed it down. That a lot of times those of us who turn to addictive behaviors, often we do because we're pushing shit down, which is not to berate yourself. It's just that's a coping mechanism. So that can sometimes be a place to look. Where am I pretending that I don't know what I know? Right. So
what's going on when I want to eat the entire pizza?
Yeah. Or brownie. I made brownies for this Circle of Life thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why I don't bake ever. I mean, literally, I could feel like I didn't want to deal with the fact that I was really sad. I'm like, oh, there we go, eating brownies. But that is another thing. So evidence, look and see, for example, I have so much of this now, and you can do it in your phone. You can do it on an Excel spreadsheet. You can write it on paper. It doesn't matter. But start to look and see, oh yeah, when I listened or I didn't listen and there was this crash and I knew right before that it said turn left and I didn't. Or, I dated that person and I had a lot of like flags going off. Red flags, side note, when you feel a red flag, hello, that is your intuition. So understanding when you get chills, when you get a gut feeling, we are way more than our brain. We have a sensory perception. We have sensory neurites in our heart, in our brain, in our gut. I mean, we've got so much more going on than we usually understand. So do that first so that you can see where I've listened, where I've not, where it's jumped in, when maybe you felt a gut feeling, you met someone, you were like, I knew we were going to be fast friends. And now this is like my favorite person in the world. So do that so you can get like that data. I think that's going to be helpful because you'll start to notice it comes through for you. Maybe it's gut feelings. Maybe you hear it. Maybe you see it. I'll share something. It's a little vulnerable, but when I was dating my former husband, we met in college. And I remember we were talking one night. This is before we started really officially dating. And I got this vision, this premonition of us together. And I saw two kids, a boy and a girl, which I have. And I saw them like 3 and 5. And I kid you not, we got divorced when they were 3 and 5. And I could never see past. I have high visual like I get a lot of intuitive guidance through vision. I couldn't see past it. I'm like, I couldn't see past it. And that is exactly when we split.
Wow, Julie.
Yeah. And that's one of like thousands of examples, but you start tracking that, you're going to have a little book of evidence and it's going to be like, oh, there is way more going on. I am so guided. And then what happens? Watch what happens with your life. I'm getting chills now. You're going to have, this is why I'm saying this. You get miracles. You get beyond better than what you think. It's not always easy. I'm in a life today and I have a feeling there's more coming up that's going to be like, got to change this, got to shift this. I can feel it. Right. But it's going to be better than what you think because this all loving intelligence has got you always. But it helps to start with looking in the past. I mean, that's one of many. That really is true. I could not see past that age.
Wow. Something that's happened to me. I'm just curious your take on this. Sometimes there's projection, or maybe let's even relate it to romantic partners. And in the past, a partner, they exhibited some behaviors. Maybe it was love bombing in the beginning of the relationship. They're telling you, I love you right away. They're sending you the big bouquet of flowers, all of those things. And it turned out to be a narcissist and a really bad situation. And so you've done some healing and now someone's, doing that right away too. And there's part of you, your intuition says, no, I can trust this person. This person's different and I'm different. I've done the healing where I'm no longer a match for a narcissist. Or it could also be projecting some fear from the past, even though your intuition says, no, you can trust this person. He or she is different. But there's that part of you that's like, no, this is exactly what happened in the past and this happened. So you see what I mean? There's the intuition, there's still some past fear. The message I'm getting is like, okay, you still need to do a bit more healing. But what happens, and that's where I think signs can come in and help us, when sometimes there's conflicting messages, because like they're both kind voices, they're both love me, they're both trying to protect me. Do I trust this person? Do I not? Then you have to just give it more time and see. But any insight you could give there?
Yes. I love this question. First of all, when in doubt, don't.
Ooh.
When in doubt, don't. Pause. Oh. One of the most important aspects of being able to receive intuition is we've got to have fertile ground, meaning we've got to have a space of grace and receptivity in our own mind and our own presence and energy. So I am guessing most that are tuning in, you meditate, you give yourself time, you pause. Most of us are probably also doers, high achievers. I have a feeling like attracts like, and it's very, very, we're used to like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to do the thing. I'm not procrastinating. I feel it. When in doubt, when you have any little doubt, pause and don't just hang there. That is the most important thing, because what will happen is when you give it that fallow ground, that space, you set your intention and you ask spirit, your higher guidance, to make it clear. We have free will, and we can set intentions that actually can literally help us to be clear in what is happening. You keep asking, show me what is in my highest good. This is one of the most important things you can say. Show me what is in my highest good, and perhaps those that I'm going to be working with, but show me what's in my highest good and all those involved.
Ooh, I have to pause you really fast. Sorry to interrupt. I just got it. I love those moments where I just got it. And so in that circumstance, and it's like, where it's like, do I trust this person? Do I not? And then I love what you just said. It's like, okay, spirit, or okay, higher self, whatever we want to call it, show me the signs, make it obvious. And then I promise you this always happens, especially when you ask for guidance, you'll always get it. Like our team is always just waiting for us to ask for their help. And they, like you said, Sam, the butler, my loved one who's crossed over, comes in, he's like, what do you need? And so sometimes now, because of you, Julie, thank you, I'll be like, Sam, I need you to, I'm kind of demanding with Sam, but he likes it. And I'm like, I need you to do this or help with that. And it does get resolved. So now when you're in that situation, even it's like, do I take this job? Do I not take it? Can I trust this person? Can I not? Show me the signs. And then this always happens. That person either steps up and makes it so clear, like, oh my gosh, I can trust them. I can continue forward, or the latter. It'll happen where the person at the job, they're not getting back to you. They're fumbling around. And because of past experience, you're like, ooh, this usually means they don't have their stuff together and I don't want to go down that path, but show me more signs to make it extra clear. And then you will get the sign.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh, I felt that.
And this is different. And this is why I wanted to we're talking about this, because what this model is, it's a self-empowerment model. Everyone has it. Batteries included at birth. Okay. We all have this. You may have a little rusty relationship. You just build the relationship, but there is high intelligence beyond the humanity that is here to help us. You could call it the field of infinite possibility and intelligence. We can tap in, and is exactly right. Use your free will and your declared intention that is, and that's what I always say, show me what is in my highest good right now. Show me, make it clear, make it so effing clear that there is no doubt. I guarantee it may not be right away. It might be tomorrow. It might be in 2 days. And this is where it becomes fun. This is once you start to get in the game of it, I'm telling you, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am like literally, we're now playing. I am now playing with a team of beings that I cannot see, but they've so got my back, because the thing that I thought I should definitely do, I'm not doing. And this has happened for business owners. If you are in business and there's a lot of glossy, like, oh, I should do this. I got asked to be an affiliate here. I got asked to have this opportunity. Chill, pause, wait, ask for very intentional, clear signs. I have been doing that. I mean, and the few times I didn't do that, I can tell you right now. And I remember talking to you about one of them. I won't mention who, but it was like, don't sign a contract with that person.
Woo.
And what did I do? I was like, oh, no, but she worked with like a really well-known author. And I thought, oh, no, I have to work with her. I have to. And no, it was my intuition knew. So I've learned, and this is the thing. It takes patience. A lot of us don't. We're learning that, but it will come. Those signs will come. You demand it because you have free will, and it's up to each of us to say, show it to me. And I want to be clear, and I'm not taking action until it's clear. And if it's not clear, then my dear, you are not doing anything. You're going to chill. You're going to wait. You're going to rest. You're going to watch this. You're going to leave comments. You're going to find awesome people to connect with, but you're not going to take action until it is effing clear.
I love that. And it's reminding me, I love when, this is why I love talking to you too. And as you're talking, I'm getting like ding, ding, ding. So many things are coming through. And I just got the image of really start to pay attention to things, peculiar things that people choose to share with you. Or sometimes I find myself, I'm like, why am I telling this person this story with all these details? And then they'll say, oh my gosh. And then they'll tell me why. Or a friend out of nowhere was telling me about how she got this job 15, 20 years ago. And the thing I remember from the conversation, and I think she even said, I don't know why I'm telling you this story, but the thing I remember from the story was she said, and then I got this phone call out of the blue offering me this huge job, this and that. And I wrote down how much I wanted to make. And when I talked to them the next day, they asked me that exact amount of money. So what I took from that is, that's my favorite way to book work, is when you get those calls or emails out of the blue where you weren't thinking about it, but you actually were intuitively. But you just, again, I call it the easy money. You've done all the work. You're credentialed. You've done your thing, and not having to, hustle or grind or get all this business development and clients. But that person that you met 3 years, 5 years, 10 years ago calls you out of the blue and says, hey, I'm working on this. You'd be the perfect person. And you get this incredible contract. You get this new client. You get this new opportunity. So what I did when Krista shared that, I then started saying around the house and just intuitively and on my walks, just like, oh, I love easy money. I love when people just contact me out of the blue and offer me these incredible opportunities. And it's happened now twice in a matter of weeks. And so part of that also is just changing what we're thinking about, instead of like, oh, how am I going to pay for that? Or, this, it's, oh my gosh, I love when people contact me out of the blue. You're still doing your work behind the scenes, but I'm finding now these people, and then I'm so grateful they remembered me and thought of me and thought I'd be perfect for this. And then you meet that client and then more clients from that. So it just, again, you hear me, I'm even getting excited because it just puts you in alignment. I feel like that's what you're speaking to too. There's, once you make this one choice, all these other things flow from that. And it seems like magic, but it isn't.
Yes. I love it. I'm like, and I think when we talk about, the law of attraction, right? That gets a lot of traction, law of attraction. We don't talk about gravity, we just don't. I mean, but you and I are like, we're not floating up, because there is what's called gravity, and it's very similar. Our energy, we talked earlier about that, having that spiritual, or energy hygiene, right? Because your energy, when you start seeing, oh my gosh, like I love getting money and clients easily, and I love when things happen with these, you literally are embodying that. Your body, your energy, your vibration, and it has to be met. It has to be met. Like attracts like. I think I've said that a lot, and it's so true. So intuition, if we understand that's coming from a higher intelligent realm, part of me is like, why would you not listen to that? Because that is seeing the entire picture and is going to deliver the things you really, really, really want. And why do you want them? Because you want to have fun. You want to feel joy. You want to feel like you're making an impact and be of service. You want to be loving and connect. Trust me. I mean, this is where it gets really fun. And this is where it's like, damn, what is happening? It does feel like magic. And it's not always easy in the in-between. And I think it's important we say that, shifting into, it's like I'm seeing the car, you go from overdrive to neutral. We kind of want to get into a neutral space. And then, you don't want to make a decision when you're in hyperdrive. And if you're not sure, stay in neutral. Stay there until you have your sign and you have your guidance, and however that might be. That might, through journaling, it might be like, for me, it's on the road. I literally get trucks with answers. I have really, not very in a safe way, but I've like literally taken pictures many times while I'm driving, which is not a good idea. Don't do that. But you'll get your signs. Trust me, you will get them. Just be intentional. And then affirming, like you said, Kate, it's like, oh yeah, I can attract things like that easily. Watch what I mean, I'm seeing this all the time. There are things that are happening. I'm like, how and what just happened? Like I couldn't have even planned that if I tried. So it opens up to so much more miracles, really.
Yeah. And I want to offer comfort to people who maybe aren't in that mode. Maybe the faucet's turned down or turned off a little. And I'm coming out of a season of that. And sometimes it can be worrisome depending on your financial uncertainties and other things and just wanting to do more, wanting to experience life in a different way. I think there's also the importance of slowing down. You mentioned pause, but slowing down. And sometimes we are in a season of rest and reset and really regenerating ourselves from the inside out through every cell in our body to become a more enlightened, higher version of ourselves who now just being that higher version of yourself, doing that work behind the scenes that nobody ever sees or is going to tell you good job, maybe your coach, but to do that work. So then you are just a magnet and an energetic match for a higher caliber of opportunities, relationships, experiences. And so not counting out that time when it doesn't seem like much is happening in your current reality, a ton is going on behind the scenes, and you are always rewarded for that work that you put in, even if it doesn't happen as quickly as you'd like, or even sometimes if it feels like nothing's happening. Don't you believe that?
Oh, 100%. And I think it's so important that you're saying this. First of all, I can just feel everyone tuning in. We're high achievers. We're ambitious people. We're like, no, we get done and we're going to change the world. And we need us. The resting component, it is crucial. No matter if you're in a season of coming out of something that was really challenging, a relationship that maybe ended, or a health condition or crisis, or a job situation, or losing a job or a business or whatever it is, there's been a lot of loss. There's been a lot of loss recently, or just frankly needing like a respite because you're feeling overwhelmed by what's happening in the world. It's wherever you are, but especially I think saying to those that are coming out of that season, absolutely rest. I would say for all of us though, this is something other cultures do, especially parts of Europe and other parts of the world do this really well. And I don't think we do this well, which is baking in time for unplugging, like really resting. Like I'm talking, you're not even looking at your phone when you're eating. You are taking a hiatus, a little break from social media. You're getting off of, any electronics. You're just allowing yourself to replenish. And that is always in style. That is always going to shift things. That actually, and I'm getting the image right now to say to people here, it's similar to, again, nature, like farming and the land. And you have to, my dad grew up on a farm and he used to always say, we used to get like piles of manure delivered. It was so embarrassing and it smelled horrible. And he would say like I think it was every few years, he would do nothing. He would let it just be and let it lay. And we need time. We need time for rest. And I would also say if anyone's listening and it's feeling like too high, like I can't do that right now, or, you're in a rough spot. The thing that is the most healing is always coming back to compassion. How the question I would say goes right along with what's for my highest good, right? How can I love myself more? So if you're asking yourself, how can I love myself more? Really like love myself at a deep level, and asking your team, your higher intelligence, what would be in my highest good here? Those two questions, you stay with those two questions, watch what happens and let us know. I guarantee you things are going to
I'm so excited to hear what people, because even as we're talking, I mean, I'm getting so many intuitive hits and downloads, and even one about someone to have on the podcast based on something that you said or something, or someone I'm listening to you and things pop to mind that you're saying. And then it gives me inspiration. So I love it just shows about, there's so much garbage to consume. That's why I want to have this platform that we can really connect through courageous storytelling and telling the truth and sharing these insights. Because having this conversation, my brain is like so many things are coming to mind that are inspiring me. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I want to do that. And what's also coming to mind is I love that we're talking about this because my intuition and my body, they're very connected, is like, I am exhausted. And, the ego, my brain is just like, why are you so tired? And we've got stuff to do. And after you talk to Julie, you need to do these 10 things. My body and my intuition and my heart, it's like, I'm really tired. I'm not feeling well. And so I think it's just that to listen to that. And I know you're huge and you do a lot of teachings. We both are on Insight Timer as well, about really listening to our bodies. And you're a mom. If you're a mom, you're my superhero. And I'm sure there's a lot of parents listening. I don't know how you all do it. I bow down to each one of you. If you're a parent, I say, please, I invite, I encourage, I give you permission to shut it all down and just take a freaking siesta or a break. You'll be better for everyone. But what has been a huge success tool for you in terms of managing the exhaustion and the overwhelm and the battle sometimes of the intuition versus the part of us that lives in the, material world that wants to achieve and perform and make money? Because you do balance it so well. And I think I have good days and I have other days I've gotten much better. But what is something you can offer people who just are feeling overwhelmed by it all? What has been something that's allowed you to have the success while also really honoring your body and your heart and your intuition that tells you to rest?
Well, it's interesting because as you were speaking, you were actually doing one of the things that I do. And I'm like, she's doing it. It's natural. We often forget this, but one of the biggest things, yes, meditation, yoga, actually intentional breathing. We're all breathing. I hope you're breathing, because if you're not breathing, then there's a problem. But breathing, there's different kinds of breath through the nose and out the nose, that kind of thing. Intentional breathing, yoga, meditation, prayer, all of these things. I will say though, and I did a lot of work, and I've done a lot with the Heart Math Institute, and one of the most natural, and you were doing it. I'm like, this has been probably one of the most important, simple, free, easy things to do is literally like stop and put my hand on my heart. Something I do, I know we're both Reiki certified. You don't have to be Reiki certified. This is one of the major meridians and important parts of our body. This is when you ask somebody, if you ask someone like, where do you feel your soul lives? People don't typically point to their head. Where do they point? Typically they point in their heart. So I wake up typically and I go to bed with my hand on my heart. I actually I love this. I go to bed with my hand on my heart. It has made the biggest difference. I can't tell you exactly why logically, but there is something about sleeping and waking up with my hand on my heart. It's like a loving connection to myself. And then when I'm having a hard time, this is what I do, in any moment. And I take a moment, I'll feel my heart breathe, I'll take a breath, I feel like I'm sad, I'll feel whatever's happening, but I am connecting in. We are, beings that need touch. And oftentimes we don't have others around us. And this is one of the most powerful things you can do. And it's, as long as you're breathing and you have a heart beating and you have a hand, if you don't have a hand, then you can imagine putting your hand there. So seriously, because, I don't want to take it for granted, but put your hand or both hands on your heart and do a little bit of intentional breathing in your heart, even just feeling, life force, feeling gratitude, which we know, true gratitude, not thinking it. This is very different. This is the neuroscience shows this. You thinking it's not the same as feeling it. So find something, it's easy. Like I can think about you, Kate, unicorn's sister. And I'm like, all right, I love her. Think about my cat who's just adorable. And I'm like, I just feel. So we want to feel that gratitude and compassion, and that will shift your energy. It will literally shift how you are vibrating. It'll shift your thoughts. It'll create what's called heart-brain coherence. And that's for another time we can talk about that. But when you're in heart-brain coherence, that can help depression, PTSD, the kinds of thoughts you're having changes. It changes your immune system. So it's really simple, but it really heals and it's really powerful.
I feel calmer just having my hand. I do this often. I usually do it. I'm so empathetic when people share any sort of emotion with me. I find myself always going, especially if it's something traumatic or upsetting. But even just doing this, I've calmed down a lot because I was tapped into my exhaustion and overwhelm at times. And now I am just tapped into my body and my heart. And it can be challenging for those of us who live alone. And I really need to get a pet. But yeah, it feels like COVID sometimes in terms of feeling hug deprived, or just we need that physical touch, and you can get a massage and all those things. And, it's not the same when it's from a loved one, but I'm a loved one, and that we can always in any moment do this in the car. just in between meetings, in the carpool line, you're having a moment and just breathe
Yeah.
into it. And it is giving me a really calming effect and physical sensations, reminding me to kind of calm down and slow down and just ground myself and connect in. And from here, I'm speaking, I feel more articulately and I'm not so in my head and I'm because I'm in my body. So really the importance, I know that, and as you do too, as being a speaker, the importance of getting into your body, through vocal warm-ups and things like that. And then you could just be present, be in the moment, whatever comes out is perfect. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing that right now. If you're watching or listening, it feels so good. Gosh, this time has gone by so fast, but as we're holding our hearts here, you believe in intuition so much and the power of it to really transform every aspect and area of our lives that you've actually created an intuition school. I would love for you to share with that on our way out, just so I'd love to be in that class and learn more and just and of course, I'll put everything about Julie in the show notes. She has so many incredible resources, some free, some paid, just to really get you started on your journey or really amplify your journey. So tell us about this intuition school.
Well, thank you. And I know I'm like, whoo, my hand, it's so powerful, so powerful. And I recommend trying to go to bed. Everyone try going to bed with your hand on your heart. Notice how you feel. Notice how you wake up. I would say this intuition school, my intuitive guidance created it through me. I didn't know I was going to start this. And it's really funny. I've had community members and students. I taught a class about 5 years ago that was like a mini intuition school. And all of a sudden, I have a coaching certification. I was talking to some of the people that have gone through it and they're like, Julie, you've taught this. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. Like this has been so groundbreaking and important for me. This though, what I'm going to be doing, this intuition school is, now 5 years later with even a lot more training under my belt between, I'll just say a lot of different, very cool, Hogwarts style training and learning development. I'm going to be teaching. It's a 9-week live program. Everything, there's modules, there's recordings, there's activations and groundings. Everything is for life. You get it, but we'll be meeting live. That's where the magic is. And we're going to be going through each of the 9 aspects of this framework of intuition. It's really powerful. And I'm going to be teaching ancient ritual practices and, how do you muscle test? How do you use a pendulum? How do you do 2-way journaling and prayer? There's some of these really incredible things that are going to feel like magic, but are actually not because we all have access. So I am so excited. It's for me, this is dreamlike and it's going to be very, very powerful, high vibe. And, I'd say anyone that's like, I want to know how to follow the signs or stop feeling so doubtful or worried and know how to do what's in my highest good or harness my intuition or crack it open, come inside. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be like mystery school together.
I love that. Yeah. And it's we've got to have you back. There's so much more to discuss. But what I love about all of your trainings and your tools and your teachings is that it's so empowering. And, the chaos and uncertainty of the world is sadly not going anywhere. So it really is up to us to fine-tune our instrument so we can play it for the world and that we can really empower ourselves. It is almost like a shield, a protective shield. And it's also then a shield of connection to get deeper with people and have more meaningful relationships, but also just to feel better from the inside out. So thank you so much for all the incredible work that you're doing. And thank you so much for joining us here today on Raj. Like I said, you'll have to come back. This was so much fun and I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for watching, for listening, for being a part of the community and really sharing your gifts with the world and tapping into those. So another incredible episode with all of you. Thank you so much. We'll see you back here next time on Raj. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.